Everything forgotten by time also has its secrets, but this secret was sleeping in the darkest corner of an asylum, on the dusty shelves of a locked library. The door that opened years later didn't just reveal old books, it unearthed a cold-blooded murder. This story began in the 1950s at an asylum known as Silent Corridors, just outside the city center. The hospital had gained a reputation for implementing what were claimed to be the most modern treatments of its time, but once the doors were closed, the truths inside were far darker than anyone could have imagined. Years later, the hospital was abandoned, turning into a ghost building. Until a few weeks ago, while the hospital was being surveyed for a reconstruction project by the local administration, a locked door was discovered on the lowest floor, one that didn't appear on any architectural plan. Behind the door lay a library housing the asylum's oldest and most important files. It was there, upon opening the library, that a file caught my attention. A patient who had vanished without a trace in 1957. A patient named Evelyn Reed had simply disappeared. Official records listed it as a simple escape. But why would the hospital management lock up the very library that held its most valuable documents and erase it from the hospital map? It seemed more like a cover-up than an escape. Even in the corridors I was in, the hospital carried the weight of the past. As I walked across the dusty floors, I pondered why Evelyn Reed's file was so important. Underneath the peeling paint on the walls, I saw nonsensical patterns scribbled by patients, but one of them reminded me of a symbol I had seen in Evelyn's file. This could be the prelude to a murder, not a simple escape. The file contained handwritten notes by the chief physician of the time, Dr. Alistair Finch, whispering that Evelyn was no ordinary patient. I finally reached the library. The door seemed much sturdier and more specially secured than the rest of the hospital. The rust on the lock and the thick chains suggested that the secrets behind the door were meant to stay inside forever. But what I saw after opening the door gave me a hint of how chilling that secret could be. On the iron door, I noticed a tiny, almost invisible carving of a phoenix. I had seen this carving in Dr. Finch's file before. This was proof that the library and its secrets were directly linked to the chief physician. The inside of the library was like a dusty time capsule. The shelves contained all of the hospital's dark past. Evelyn Reed's file was open on the table, as if intentionally left there. The file contained not only notes about her illness, but also evidence of the unethical experiments Dr. Finch was allegedly conducting on her. The record stated that Evelyn was used as a subject for a mind control experiment, that Finch manipulated her into escaping the hospital, and that he sacrificed her for an experiment. But what was the evidence? Dr. Finch's notes chilled me to the bone. They indicated Evelyn was used as a subject for a mind control experiment, and that Finch had manipulated her into trying to escape with him, sacrificing her for an experiment. But this was just a theory. There was no conclusive evidence. A note on a small piece of paper at the bottom of the file, in Dr. Finch's handwriting, read, "The key is where hope is last stored." This could be the prelude to a murder. As I meticulously searched the library shelves, something caught my eye. Behind a book, there was a small, almost invisible hole. From it, I retrieved a rusty old key. It was etched with the initials of Dr. Finch. This key was the only way to unlock a secret deep within the hospital. It was a clever hiding spot, blending into the seemingly endless collection of books and files. It became clear that this was not a place for escape, but a place for secrets. As I re-examined the hospital plans, I noticed a small room in the basement that wasn't on the official record. The room had a locked metal door. Dr. Finch's key was the key to this door. The lock was rusty and difficult to open, but I finally managed to unlock the door. The sight that awaited me inside was the origin of all the hospital's dark secrets. This was Dr. Finch's secret laboratory. Medical equipment was scattered, evidence of unethical experiments, but the most shocking thing was a rusty knife on the table and a blood-stained fabric next to it. It was clear that Evelyn Reed had not escaped. She had been murdered during an experiment. But the real question was, who killed her. As I searched for another clue in the room, I noticed a loose brick in the corner of the wall. Behind it, I found another notebook belonging to Dr. Finch. This one was much more personal than the first. Finch had fallen in love with Evelyn. His experiments to control her had become an obsession over time. He had persuaded Evelyn to escape the hospital with him, but Evelyn had changed her mind at the last minute. In the notebook, I read about Finch's obsessive love for Evelyn and his elaborate plans to take her away from the hospital. Evelyn's refusal to escape had foiled his plan. According to the notebook, when Evelyn refused to escape, Finch decided to kill her. But a sentence in the notebook made me pause. I had to do it. He was swallowing us from the inside. I understood. Evelyn's disappearance was a revenge killing, but the killer wasn't Finch. The DNA report showed that the blood on the fabric belonged neither to Evelyn nor to Finch. The blood belonged to a third person. Dr. Finch's assistant, Robert Turner, knew about Evelyn and Finch's experiments. His mother had died due to Finch's malpractice. To get revenge on Finch, Robert convinced Evelyn to escape with him, then killed her to frame Finch and force Finch to commit suicide with his own confession note. The lost file was the evidence of Robert's murder. Robert would have his revenge this way. He would both kill Evelyn and make Finch look guilty, and then force him to commit suicide with his own confession note. The file he hid in the library was the most significant piece of evidence of this complex plan. Robert Turner had killed Evelyn and framed Finch for years, hiding the lost file in the library. The file had waited silently for decades, but when the library door opened, that murder and fraud were no longer hidden in the dark corners of history, but in the truth. The abandoned hospital was not just an old building, it was a witness to 2 murders and a story of revenge. This story proved that even the deepest secrets of time can be brought to light. Until the next mystery, stay curious and always look beyond the obvious.